So one of the reasons Trump won the election was his economic populism. That's how he swung the Rust Belt, which really was the main factor in Hillary Clinton losing. They were devastated by outsourcing and trade, so he came out at 1,000 miles an hour against outsourcing and trade, whereas Hillary did not. She was tepidly against it after Bernie Sanders forced her to that position, but she never spoke about it. And of course, her husband, Bill Clinton, signed NAFTA. She supported NAFTA, devastated that part of the country, and she arrogantly thought, oh, obviously I'll win. No, it didn't happen. So now, of course, there are many people who supported him because of his bigotry and his xenophobia. For the moment being, we'll put them aside. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking to them. Many of them are simply too far gone, and we'll never get through to them. But for the people who voted for Obama twice, for example, and then voted for Trump, for the people who really supported him because of what they viewed as economic populism, hey, he'll protect my job. Now, we were all chumps, but those people do exist, you know? Everybody was a chump who thought, oh, maybe he will actually do that. No, he was lying. And his own personal history should have showed you that. I mean, he outsourced his own jobs every step of the way. What, now suddenly when he gets elected, I'm now against the thing that I loved? No. So he was lying, but people fell for it, and I genuinely feel bad for these people who thought, maybe he will do that. Well, now we know, as a matter of fact, that he was lying, because we have new information for you. A year after Trump's carrier deal, U.S. companies still offshoring plenty of jobs. So Trump obviously said this thing, it's not going to happen, we're not going to outsource anymore, and the carrier deal was where he made this brilliant marketing move, but again, he was lying. He goes, see, I saved the jobs at the carrier plant. They wanted to ship it out to Mexico. I have made them keep it here. Now, the details of that deal were ugly. For example, it's just, we had to give them massive corporate welfare to get them to keep the jobs here. So you're hosing the taxpayers to keep the jobs here. You know, you could force them to stay here without paying them off for it. You could say, oh, okay, well, if you ship the jobs overseas, now there's a new tariff that gets slapped onto all the goods that you send back in the country. So we're going to make it, we're going to financially incentivize you to keep the jobs here without just handing over a large amount of taxpayer money. You could have done that. You could have been punitive with it, but they didn't. So the details of that deal were shitty. But people said, and hey, it makes sense. Oh, he promised to keep the jobs here. He kept the jobs here. Good for him. It was all a photo op, because what happened was 6 months afterwards, they started shipping the jobs out. Slowly, one by one. Nobody's looking, right? No cameras are here. Don't do it all at once. Got to go slow. And I've read 3-4 articles now since that happened where people who worked at Carrier were like, I got laid off, and I feel like this was all a lie. It was all a lie. It was all, hey, here's my photo op, and then, listen, we're going to give you corporate welfare, and then when nobody's looking, you could start to lay the people off. That's what it was. But it's worse than that. Listen to this. More than 93,000 jobs have been eliminated due to outsourcing since Trump's election, according to Labor Department data. So, the previous 5 years saw an average of 87,500 jobs lost due to trade. So in other words, Obama, and by the way, I'm not exonerating him by any stretch of the imagination, because he ran against outsourcing too, and then he was kind of a standard politician when he got in there, and he signed a lot of these outsourcing deals. So I'm not exonerating him by any stretch of the imagination. But it also happens to be true that if he's shipping out on average 87,500 jobs, Trump outsourced 93,000 jobs under his administration. Trump is literally worse when it comes to outsourcing. There is more outsourcing happening under Trump. So I'm going to fight the outsourcing. Outsourcing went up. It went up. You're a fucking liar. You're a liar. That's what you are. You're a liar. I'm going to fight it. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. All the things you do, they're gimmicks. Oh, I killed TPP, but look away as I slip the different shittiest provisions of TPP into the NAFTA renegotiation. Look away. Look away. I did the Made in America thing. Oh, don't look at the details of that because it's not really a Made in America rule. What I did is I set up this commission to look into it and then report back to me at some future date. If you really wanted to do a Made in America rule, all you had to do was sign a single executive order that says, from now on, Made in America means actually made in America. So in other words, that means the federal government is only allowed to buy American-made products. Right now, in theory, we have that, but they slipped in a rule where they said, oh, when we say made in America, that the federal government can only buy American-made products, what we mean is America and all of our allies who we have trade deals with. So in other words, that's not at all made in America. We import products from fucking China and Israel and everywhere. And that the government buys those products, and then we go, it's okay, it's made in America. It's not made in America. So all Trump had to do was sign a single executive order that says, no, now made in America means made in America. Everything that the federal government buys needs to be made in this country. He didn't do it. Why didn't he do it? Because he's a fucking liar. He outsourced his own jobs at his own hotel. There was a local news outlet that did a test. They went to one of Trump's hotels, took a bunch of the products, and did and looked at the origin of all the products. The majority of products in his own fucking hotel are foreign products that he brought in. He doesn't really believe in this shit. He's selling it because it goes over well for him, but he's lying, and the facts prove it. Now, furthermore, this is another interesting fact. Big federal contractors contributed 11% of the layoffs due to trade over the past year, compared to only 4% over the preceding 5 years. So what that means is companies that have a deal with the government, okay, where they get money from the federal government to do whatever work it may be, federal contractors, they are even doing deals with foreign countries, outsourcing their jobs. And that it's so easy to address that one. All you need is a rule that says if you have a contract with the federal government, you can't outsource jobs. Or else we drop you and we go to somebody who will keep their jobs in the US. But no, even companies that have a deal with the federal government, they're outsourcing their jobs. And the federal government's like, okay, that's fine. It was 4% under Obama. 4% of the layoffs due to outsourcing were from companies that have federal contracts outsourcing the job. It's now 11%. There are more companies that are tied to the federal government that are outsourcing jobs under Trump than there was under Obama. And then, final fact I'll mention here. Senator Joe Donnelly, who's a Democrat from Indiana, proposed punishing companies that offshore jobs as an amendment in this Republican tax bill. The Republicans said no, Trump didn't make a peep. So in other words, he goes, an Indiana Democrat, very familiar with the pain of all the jobs being outsourced. He goes, listen, here's the deal. You said it on the campaign trail, Trump. You said it. The forgotten man will never be forgotten again. You're going to keep the jobs here. You're not going to outsource. NAFTA was a bad deal, so on and so forth. Okay, very simple. Let's punish companies that offshore jobs. Punish them. Whether it's a tariff, whether it's an extra tax. So incentivize companies to stay here. They said no. So it's a lie. He lied to you every step of the way. He played us for chumps. And people need to know that.